praised Hitler. So definitely, much says the Grok chatbot was manipulated into praising Hitler, and that was not his intention, and all along those lines. So that's something that is being reported on the global stage as well. So, like I said, lots going on the global stage as well as the U.S. stage also. So, lots taking place in the world, and we're always glad to talk about that here on the Pod TV and see what other folks have to say about a number of these stories and all along those lines. So definitely we'll get to some of the U.S. news and definitely bring in some of my fellow panelists and see what they've got to say about some of these stories and some of the things that they might have on their mind as well. So, like I said, lots going on in the world, and we're definitely glad to talk about them. Like I said, definitely a lot is taking place, and we're saying glad to be having these conversations about these news stories and seeing what folks have to say about them and all along those lines. So definitely that is something that is going on, and glad to be reporting on these news stories and all along those lines. Floods, abortion, and THS is in the news as well, as the Texas Governor Greg Abbott announces packed special session agenda. And federal workers are fearing Trump will fire them after the court ruling that recently came out as well. So, Supreme Court disabuses federal workers who thought their jobs were safe. So, Sotomayor broke with Jackson in a Supreme Court decision over Trump cuts to the federal workforce. So, definitely, it looks like that is one of the conversations that's going on, as well as the news about federal and state crackdowns on intoxicating hemp products escalating as well. So definitely we're seeing those kind of stories as also. So definitely GOP senator who helped federally legalize hemp is seeking to close loophole by banning products with committee vote this week, according to sources in that particular news followings as well. And Gavin Newsom confronts his California problems. So Newsom echoes red state Democrats, but some worry about a Californian running for office. So definitely it looks like Newsom is making stops as he's mulling over his 2028 presidential bid and trying to woo the Democratic faithful in South Carolina. So he's been doing that for a while and all along those lines. So definitely that's some of the things that are going on in the news and around the news and all along those lines. So, like I said, lots taking place. Always glad to see good folks joining me in these conversations. So, I'll be trying to bring them in and see what they've got to say about a number of these stories and any other news stories that they might have on their mind as well. So, definitely, as I try to pull them up and bring them into the conversation and all along those lines, we'll see if they've got thoughts on a number of these stories as well. So, like I said, a lot's going on in the world, and we're always glad to be reporting on these various news stories that exist and all along the lines. So, definitely trying to see if I can get folks to come in onto the conversation. Might have to, oh, there we go. We've got John with us, and to see if John's got any of these news stories that are going on and anything that he wants to add to the conversation as well. So, John, how are you doing today?
Um, Thanks for asking.
What did you say, John?
I said I'm well. Thanks for asking.
Good. Oh, no problem. So, what's going on in Canada? How's things going? And what do you think about these Brazilian tariffs and all along those lines? We'll see if other folks join us. I thought I heard two clicks, but it might have just been the one click from you and everything. But what's your take on these news stories that we're hearing, and particularly around these Brazilian tariffs? And I know that there was even people, because I have a friend of mine that is couple of friends from Brazil, and they said that Bolsonaro was similar to Trump, the former leader, so they're not surprised that he was trying to find ways to be helped by Trump.
Yeah, I think um, people that are anti-democratic have to stick together. I guess, right?
Yeah, sounds like they're trying to stick together and trying to have their own conversations going and all along those lines. So yeah, that's definitely something that seems to be the norm and all along those lines. So, what's happening in Canada that you might be able to tell us about, or what's your own reactions to a number of these news stories that are going on?
We're experiencing, I guess, a bit of a heat wave in my neck of the woods, so trying to stay cool. And I guess climate change is impacting us. I heard also there's some more fires in the west part of the country.
Well,
So hope everybody's safe from that.
yeah, hopefully folks will stay safe from that. And all along those lines, I know that we've been having heat issues as well and everything like that. So it's definitely been impacting us also. The heat is no joke around this area. Matter of fact, we've been close to
It's
100 degree temperature.
it's a bit disconcerting that now with the second term, Trump is going, I guess, ignoring climate change once again. So that's disheartening to see.
It's his revenge tour. It's just he's addressing all his resentments and grievances without regard to anything else.
Yep, definitely. That seems to be the case and everything like that. What else is going on in your neck of the woods, Rick? I'm glad that you were able to join us too. And I know that we've been seeing that Gavin is still trying to figure out what he's going to do in 2028.
Well, we know what
And
he's going to do. He's just trying to not make any missteps beyond what's happened to him while governor. He's going to run unless something disastrous happens with him.
we've got Nick with us. Nick has joined us, and he's always got some interesting things to say as well. What's your take on what's going on with the Supreme Court and some of these other things that are taking place, Nick? And of course, we've got war going on. So, what's your take on the world, Nick?
Well, the situation is normal. Can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Situation is normal. Everything's under control. It's about time sanity has hit Washington, D.C. And the thing is, America is becoming great again. So,
Absolutely.
That's why you live in Spain. That's why
Yeah.
you get the heck out of America and move to Spain.
now, what's your problem? Why are you guys jumping in my stuff? He wanted to know what my opinion was. He did not ask for the radical left. You guys will have your plenty of time to cry your tears out. But the vast majority of Americans are very pleased with the fact America is starting to make progress again.
Yeah,
But,
it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I agree,
Yes.
100%.
the stock market is up. All the lefties that were crying, oh, the stock market's going to crash.
Yeah,
Stock market is all-time high. Inflation is down. All the lefties were crying, oh, inflation's going out of control. They were wrong also as well. So all you can do is say they're just obstinate people. They're called lefties.
yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy, those lefties.
You can't, they're just negative energy everywhere.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, but if you look at the reality of the situation, inflation is down, and the economy, the stock market is all-time high, and America is moving in the right direction. So, Mark, there's a lot to be thankful for. That finally we're getting rid of the crazy leftist attitudes, except on this network, that exist around the world. And so the positive things are happening. Right? Happy days are here again.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
all saying.
Yeah, that's my opinion. You guys can say what you want.
No, I agree 100%. It's fantastic.
Yeah, if you look at his approval ratings,
Nick, Nick,
a solid majority don't like what Trump does of American voters surveyed. He's been,
From CNN News, I would agree. But
no, this is an
CNN has been
aggregate.
wrong.
This is
CNN
a
has been wrong
conservative.
every time. I mean,
This
the
is
thing
a conservative
it's just
poll
not.
aggregator called Real Clear Politics. The liberal poll aggregator, the neutral one, 538, was bought by ABC News, and then they shut them down, probably because they didn't want to run afoul of Trump. But the conservative poll aggregator still has him underwater in approval. Trump has only spent a couple months of his 4.5 years so far as president with positive net approval. For most of the time, a majority of Americans don't approve of what he's doing. And the only
So,
reason he's as you have these fakey right wing uh, polls that keep him propped up even there, where if it weren't for them, he'd be another couple percent underwater.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. That's way too negative for Nick.
I agree.
Yeah,
But
way too
here's
negative.
the guy. Here's the guy. Now, so we've got this thing with the Epstein files. Here's a Christian on Twitter. I'm supportive of Trump's policies and leadership as president. I'm not supportive of the horrible personal activities, child rape, but as a Christian, I am obligated to forgive him. So that's the new line from a lot of supposedly Christian Trump supporters that okay, yeah, he statutorily raped a bunch of young teenage girls, but we have to forgive him. And that's excuse one. Excuse two is well, he's old now, so he's too old and his dick doesn't work, so he's not doing it anymore, so it's fine. So great Christian supporters you've got, Mr. Trump.
Now wait a minute. What convictions does he have again, Rick? Can you name all these
Well, yeah,
convictions?
though he's been found civilly liable for raping E. Jean Carroll with his fingers. Two different juries were convinced that he raped her with his fingers in a dressing room at Lord, not well, anyway, in a department store dressing room. 26 other women have credibly accused him of sexual harassment or assault.
Okay.
Oh no,
Perfect.
there's nothing on the Epstein. Haven't you heard? There's
Could I
nothing on
ask?
the Epstein list at all.
Could I ask one question on Cross, Mr. Rosner?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are there any criminal convictions for rape against Mr. Trump?
No, there were some cases
I
that
have no further questions and no other need for this witness.
Nick,
Let's-
I have few things from
Can
Bangladesh.
the lawyer?
Nick,
why don't
I
you
have,
guys keep talking? I'm done.
I'm
Let's listen to Dr.
talking-
Sharif. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr.
Nick, I
Sharif
have
has a question for
something.
you.
Yeah, no, but I have something from Bangladesh because tariff actually create a huge impact in Bangladesh, especially for our garments industry. Bangladesh garments industry heavily dependent on US market, and US imposed 35% tariff for Bangladesh. Not only in Bangladesh, I think full Asia, it has some impact. I just want to share 5 points about this impact in Bangladesh as well as in Asian market. Trade diversification benefited Bangladesh apparel sectors. We are observing Bangladesh saw increased export of ready-made garments and US firms look for low-cost source outside China. So this may cause some benefit for Bangladesh. Supply chain realignment across Asia. What we are observing with tariff on Chinese import, companies restructure supply chain across Asia. Countries like Vietnam, India, and Indonesia gain investment in manufacturing. Bangladesh saw modest gain but lacked the infrastructure to fulfill capitalize of the shift. Raw material cost increase. This is actually huge impact. I saw that Bangladesh import significant raw materials like fabrics and machinery from China and US. This China tariff caused supply disruptions and price increase. Increased global uncertainty affect investment, which is very important because country like Bangladesh, it's a very small country, so we are heavily dependent on investment. So Trump trade policies lead to uncertainty in the global market, which made investor some sort of impact in South Asia, including Bangladesh. So slowing down industrial growth and innovations and Asian economic pause toward regional cooperation. I think this may be also important for today's discussion. In response to the US protections, Asian countries emphasize regional trade pact like RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. The shift reduce reliance on the US market. So the Asian countries they do not want to rely on the US market and promote intra-Asia trade where maybe Bangladesh remain outside, but it's for everyone. Everyone can join. So I think this regional comprehensive economic partnership, Asia, can be challenging for USA in near future, and it caused because Trump heavily imposed this tariff and all of the things. I believe that in that situations, China will be a major leader for the trade and commerce around the world. So, what's your thought, Nick? What do you think about this Asian situation, Asian economic strategy, Asian alignment? What's your thought? What's your like Trump meaningful strategy to solve this complex situation?
Well, the thing is, first of all, Sharif, those tariffs won't take effect until August the 1st, and Bangladesh has time to negotiate those down. So it's not necessarily going to take place, depending on how the negotiations go between the U.S. and Bangladesh. On another front, I've been talking to Chris Ruddy, as you well know, he's the CEO of Newsmax, and they decided to launch Truth X. You'll love this, Mark. It's a streaming platform, basically doing what we're doing for Newsmax, partnership with TruthX around the world. I'm not kidding. So I thought that was pretty cute. But
So
but in,
they're copying us. That's interesting and everything. I did have a question for Utopian. I saw his hand up
Well,
and everything. And
oh,
before we,
Utopian,
can't wait till jump in. He wants to say
yeah, I
yeah,
had,
and I had a question for Jacoby because Jacoby, we earlier were talking about climate change, and we've had a lot of storms here in North Carolina. But I also know that he visited a state that also had a lot of storms. So did you look like that we are prepared to deal with these storms and everything like that? Because in just looking on TV, it looks like a lot of people are not prepared. And now Christy Noem's talking about dismantling the agencies that are supposed to handle these disasters. So what is your take on this since you've had the pleasure of being in North Carolina and I think Texas for the cricket championships?
um, so I guess it all ties in, and it's funny. Nick always leaves right when I was gonna answer his question. I've only been gone for a little bit. So Nick didn't have to leave because I wanted to point out because on his cross he asked Rick about what charges or whatever. Well, he was found liable in a court of law, so therefore, yeah,
Twice by two
twice.
different juries.
And
So
he's a convicted felon.
so
Where's Nikki? Where's
his
Nikki? He's a
so
convicted felon.
Nick's cross for Rick was no more than a deflection, which was a decent deflection because we got off the topic really fast because Nick had already lost that argument. In terms of Nick pointing out the idea of the stock market being up, well, it's kind of dropping now because of the announcement of the tariffs again. Well, if before, and I'm working my way back around to your question, Omar. This is all tied into how this administration works. Now, with the tariffs, once he announced that again this Friday or this Monday or whenever he announced it this week, stock market did tank a little bit. It's still wavering right now because of the announcement of the tariffs. Taco Don is back because we were supposed to have all these deals, 200 deals, even though there are not 200 countries. The 200 deals in 90 days. We passed the 90 days, and that didn't happen because there were no deals. There were none. He's not this whole deal maker is a fake thing. He didn't even write the book, the art of the deal. That was actually penned by somebody else, but it was about Donald Trump because it was a fictional book. It wasn't a true actual biography or an autobiography. So yeah, there are no deals that are in play. This 90-day thing is done. August 1st, he said that he's going to stick to it, or he may not. So that's a whole lie again. And then the irony of the whole argument is that the way he's selling his group on it is, hey, we're using tariffs to bring back manufacturing. Well, if that's the goal, you can't take them off because then when you take them off, that's not bringing back manufacturing, is it? So it's idiotic. The whole plan. This is why he bankrupted a casino multiple times. So he's not a good businessman. And to get back to not being a good businessman, this idea with Kristi Noem, look, It took you days to start sending out help to what's going on in Texas. And then you're arguing so much because when we're bragging about the Doge cuts, cutting NOAA, cutting all this stuff, you're not willing to admit the fact that the individuals that were supposed to be reporting all this information to the people to get away and all this stuff, they left their posts because you told them to leave. You gave them a deal and got them out of those posts. So there was nobody to report these things. So again, this administration, what's taking place with all the flooding in Texas, that's this administration's fault.
All right, I want to go back to rape for a second.
Oh yeah, but
In addition to whatever he did with underage girls on Epstein Island, at least 26 adult women have accused Trump of sexual assault or harassment. Now, let's look at rape as a super hard charge to win on in court. 80 women eventually came forward to accuse Bill Cosby of drugging and raping them. And they got one conviction out of 80 accusers. And I think there was one civil settlement too. The conviction was overturned after 2 years on a procedural issue. So like Cosby didn't even serve out a full term. So they were 1 for 80. It's tough to, where there's,
the craziest part is that the fact that not only was he credibly accused, not only was he found liable, people still overlook that. There's been no other president that has been in this position, but people overlook
Clinton a little bit.
Oh,
No.
wait, Clinton.
Now remember, with Clinton had the issue, and he was already in office, and he was done. So nobody voted again for Clinton. Nobody. So the position that, hey, this man has been credibly accused, this man has been found liable, I'm going to overlook that and then vote for him. That has never been a position that we've ever been in. Speaking of real quick, Nick, this is for you. Speaking of the pedophilia porn. Now, when he's complaining to the reporters, asking them about the Epstein files, it was his administration. His administration said, hey, we're going to release the Epstein list. His administration says, it's on my desk. We're going to look into it and release this. And now he's saying that there was no Epstein list.
Well,
And now
there is a list that's been out there for years. It's the plane records. It's when you fly a plane, I guess you have to keep a record of everybody on your airplane.
Yes.
And Trump is listed for 7 different trips to Epstein Island. So it's there. You can look them up.
Okay, just so we could point out some correct facts. By the way, Jacoby, I was enjoying your conversation, eating popcorn and drinking Diet Coke. So it makes my day. It's like a great movie listening to you, especially and what they call it, a comic movie or a fiction movie. Well, one of the fictions that I would like to point out is Jacoby said no deals have been made. And the answer is that's not true. The deal was made with the United Kingdom. It wasn't. All the other stuff that
Nick, that's incorrect. That was not. There is no deal with the United Kingdom because no papers have been signed. He actually talked about it being in BRICS and also all this other stuff.
Very entertaining to listen to. And then in terms of him being voted in spite of these convictions, it shows the weakness of the Democratic platform. Between their transgender rights.
Incorrect. I have to interject again. Incorrect. Haven't you missed this, Nick? You keep lying, and I'm not going to let you gaslight. So they did a blind test.
Give chance to Professor Nick. Professor Nick need to finish. You do not want to give time to Trump because Trump needs some years to prove himself. Also, you do not want to give time to Professor Nick to finish his work. Professor Nick, please.
Well, the thing is, see, this is typical left-wing rhetoric, progressive rhetoric. If they disagree with what you're saying, they'll try to by talking while you're talking. Okay, and I understand. It doesn't bother me at all. But the thing is, it does bother the viewers because certainly they want to listen to both sides of the story, not just the progressive side of the story. With that, Jacoby, I will yield my for
Okay, cool.
review. I enjoyed
So just to point out, Nick, since you've yielded, just to point out, they did a blind polling on the actual issues and the actual the platforms that both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were running on. The blind polling. Actually, it was the Democrat Party who actually won out in that blind polling, based on all the polls and the records. Yeah, there was a mixed bag here and there, but for the most part, the Democrat platform won over Donald Trump. There were many more things that came into what went on. For example, we have to admit at some point that we still live in a patriarchy. So it's hard for men to see women in positions of power. It's the same thing, people of color being in positions of power. So there were many things that were at play, and that's just the reality of the situation. That's not trying to play politics or anything like that. Also, another thing, Nick, if we want to correct things, you said inflation was down. Inflation last month was 2.3 or 2.31. Inflation this month is sitting at 2.35. 3.5 is higher than 3.1. That means inflation has ticked up just a tad bit. So if we're going to talk about corrections and stuff like that, remember, I like to speak with receipts, and I have them.
Quick question for Nick. Yes or no, Nick? Yes or no? Is Trump a convicted felon?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Is Trump a convicted felon?
According to my information and belief, the answer is yes.
Great. So he's a president. You have a convicted felon as a president. Well done. Make America great.
Well, as I stated before, Mr. John, the thing is the reason that he is the president of the United States is the weakness of the progressive movement. And the problem is when they're trying to anoint a representative from their party and deny the fact their current leader was actually suffering from dementia, basically lying to the American public, then apparently the only other choice between a lying group of people that have a program that sends America into debt or a convicted felon, they chose the convicted felon. That just shows how weak the Democratic Party is.
Incorrect. Let me interject again real quick, John. I got you. Because check this out. This is the funny part. We tend to forget what was going on. Everybody globally was upset at what happened with inflation and everything that took place with COVID. Because once the COVID restrictions were lifted, inflation spiked. Also, immigration spiked globally. So people were frustrated, especially because people started demonizing not only the immigrants that were moving around from place to place. So they started demonizing them, but also the fact that they were demonizing, inflation was your fault. Well, unless Joe Biden was running 20 plus other nations' inflation, and as well as their immigration, do you realize that out of the 33 elections or 30 some odd elections that took place in 2024, 25 plus changed? So therefore, we just fell into that as well, because globally people were upset. People were actually mad. They wanted change. They wanted something new. So, and then also if you take into account the fact that number one, when Biden was coming in, Biden had high approval ratings when he started, but COVID again dropped those approval ratings. So therefore, when that change took over, regardless who was running as a Democrat, they were going to lose, especially after the assassination attempt. Because once that took place, then Trump became a martyr. And once he became that martyr, people fell and there was sympathy and everything else. So therefore, people fell for that and went down the path of, hey, we're going to vote for Trump because we want something new. All this other stuff. Well, a lot of those same people right now are revolting against Trump. Those same Hispanic individuals that were the Hispanics for Trump have now turned on Trump. Venezuelans for Trump have now turned on Trump. All these groups are starting to turn on Trump because of what is going on. That's why he's underwater in every single poll, including immigration now. So therefore, Nick, when you're saying these things, they're untrue. We have to look at the
I have
receipt.
a news story here. This is so Trump is the drill baby drill president. There, the rig count, the number of active oil rigs in the United States is at its lowest level in 4 years. Under Biden broke campaign promises, and to in order to set records for fossil fuel production in 2022, 2023, and 2024. But under Trump, we're down 10% in the amount of oil rigs that compared to last year under Biden. Trump can't even get this drill baby drill promise. He can't fulfill that. Now, part of that is market forces. Part of that is changing technology, but MAGA idiots.
Rick, I have to interrupt you. Come on.
Okay.
He promised what, 90 trade deals in 90 days. Obviously, he's fulfilled that promise, right? Where's Nikki?
He's got at maximum two. He's got to deal with Vietnam. He's got to.
Trump said that he would have 90 trade deals and 90 trade deals in 90 days. I'll give you. He has one. Great job. 1 out of 90 is not bad. That's less than 1%, I believe, or more, a bit more than 1%.
1.1%.
It's like 1.1%.
90. What happened to the 90 deals?
Well, I think, John, I don't know if you've looked at here. We have a thing called the stock market in the United States. How's it doing?
We have a thing, promises.
You're worried about all these deals. And look, if Bangladesh and these countries want to come to the table, they can negotiate a deal. But if they're
90 days.
And
your leader said he'd have 90 deals.
The U.S. So it really had nothing to do with Trump.
No. He said 90 deals. Did he not? Did he not?
He could have done it if there was some cooperation.
He could have done it, but he couldn't.
All you guys in Canada have to do is cooperate. No, you refuse.
He said 90 days. Did he not say 90 deals in 90 days?
You're getting the backside of the biggest economy in the world.
Nick,
Do you agree that he said 90 days? 90 deals in 90 days?
Well,
Did he say that?
He was open to that idea. You guys,
No, he said he would have 90 deals in 90 days.
Can I have a close?
Fantastic deal making.
But look, if you're going to be obstinate, then
Just as you did the cross.
In the meantime, how's the stock market doing? My
How's
stocks
the
are.
dollar value?
Distraction. 90
I
deals.
would be
90
very
days.
upset. My stocks
Here's-
were down.
90
Hold on,
deals.
Nick, got a question for you. One, I won't do the silly cross. Is there 90 deals in 90 days? Because you have to answer no. We already know that, and you don't want to answer that. But hold on, you keep bringing up.
That was you guys don't buy securities very much. That was called a forward-looking statement. Don't you know what forward-looking?
Nick, hold on, Nick. You keep bringing up the stock market. You keep bringing up the stock market as a deflection. My question to you: how's the dollar value?
Versus the euro, that's for sure.
How's the debt doing? Trade deficit.
All right. Here's another area. Trump promised us record-setting deportations. For the last couple of months, he's averaged, since February, Trump administration has averaged 14,700 deportations a month, which is only about 40% of the 36,000 deportations a month under Obama's most deportation-heavy year. It's less than 20% more than Biden was deporting last year. So even on this, his greatest achievement, he's not doing that well. He's arresting a lot of people, but he's not managing.
The thing is, you guys are crying if he deports people. You're crying if he doesn't deport enough people.
I'm taking him on his own terms.
Here's the reality of the border situation, Rick, and it has slowed down. If
that's
not
true. That's the one. I agree with you. That's the
United States.
That's okay. So that's the
why
one
don't
thing.
you just bring forth the truth? It has slowed down, if not completely stopped. illegal entries to
Nick,
the United
you can.
States.
I want to help you, Nick.
Yes,
Like
but
Netanyahu select Donald Trump for global peace Nobel Prize, right? I think this is very interesting discussions. It may be very interesting discussion for today. Nick, what you want to say for this Nobel Prize selection by Netanyahu? Yeah, definitely Donald Trump solve this India and Pakistan and go for ceasefire. Then Iran and Israel ceasefire. Uh, uh, I don't know what is the solutions in between Russia and Ukraine.
you
Uh,
know,
but some ceasefire is happening in Asia. So Netanyahu select him. So it can be a good point for
yeah.
Donald Trump.
Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have a
yeah.
point. You have a point.
But another thing. I request Rick to select me for global peace, but he never select me for global peace. Anyway, I love to learn more for these issues because
Oh, it's fantastic. It would be wonderful if
Hey,
Trump was
you actually have a point, which these progressives down here or these unhappy people don't want to
yeah,
bring up.
Look at me, I'm
That
smiling.
he
I'm
got
thrilled. I'm
Iran
very
and
happy.
Israel to agree to a peace deal, and he got India and Pakistan to agree
yeah.
to a peace deal.
I
Ukraine and
support.
Russia are still out to let. Same with Israel and Gaza. But if he hits all four of them, guess what? All those people that you're seeing on this panel, Sharif, will still be mad at him for whatever reason.
I'm
Okay?
with you. I'm
And
with you.
it
I'm
doesn't
with
matter
you
what
and
you
Trump.
damn the facts, full speed ahead. He's a bad guy. Yeah, yeah.
Let me point
I'm
out.
gonna
He's
have
just a rapist.
I got
But
to listen to Toby. He makes my day.
So just want to point out. Um, before, well, when we were in the middle trying to work out the two-state solution, which individual had hard right individuals in his administration that were against the two-state solution? Oh, which individual was that? That was Netanyahu. Um, uh, who was it that was paying Hamas in cash? Anybody? 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 That was
Joe,
Yeah,
Netanyahu.
it was
Joe
paid.
Biden. Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
that
Oh
was
no, wait. He
Netanyahu.
paid the Iranians. I'm
Um,
sorry. I
that
got
was
that wrong.
Netanyahu.
He paid the
Who
Iranians.
was underwater with the Israeli people? Anybody? Anybody? Netanyahu. So what I'm trying to point out to you is that right now Netanyahu is in the middle of the situation, and he's trying to actually curry favor with Trump and manipulate him because he knows Trump is begging, literally begging for a Nobel Peace Prize. So he's easily manipulated by the same way. Who was it that that actually nominated him first and then pulled it away because whatever he sent up there for didn't happen. And there's actually even Belisaro in Brazil right now. Trump is trying to put 50% tariffs on Brazil because he wants the investigation into Belisaro to go away. Yeah, that's not a Nobel Peace Prize winner. That is just somebody being manipulated by Netanyahu because Netanyahu wants something.
hey, Dr. Sharif, just to make sure that you understand the truth here, the Indian government firmly rejects version of events that Trump had anything to do with the ceasefire. So, not sure where you're getting your news from, Dr. Sharif.
Yeah.
Right now,
Well.
I'm in South
He's
Asia.
getting it from
Right now, I'm in South Asia, and I can understand the political and diplomatical issues in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan. Even though this Pakistani army chief, he also select Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. Uh, but this is not the issues. Honestly speaking, let's say Bangladesh, just test and trial basis Bangladesh. Just recently, our chief advisor get call from the foreign administrators or from USA, and they declare for elections. Still, uh, in politics, where and I closely work with Bangladesh defense. Uh, USA has huge impact. That is my honest opinion. For media, for their democratic power and all of the things, people can say many things, but honestly speaking, Western world has huge impact in Asia Pacific and in South Asia, even in my country, Bangladesh, both in politics, diplomacy, as well as in business. So, what Trump declared for the ceasefire, I do not want to deny it. It's my honest opinion. How I see the political applications in South Asia.
Yeah, the Indian government firmly rejects any notions of ceasefire implemented by Trump. So when you don't have both countries agreeing that then there's an issue.
Maybe, but internally it has a huge impact. This is my honest opinion, because our country uh, has dependencies and many more things. That's why when Trump comes, like this, Narendra Modi has visited USA, right? They want to make a good relations with USA. Even after the ceasefire, this Pakistan general, he also visit White House. Uh, it has political impact. It has some sort of back end or front end. What you said, it has relationship. Politics is not so simple. What we discuss in this media or in social media, politics is not so simple. Politics has lot of issues. I cannot deny the power of USA. Even though, honestly speaking, USA has uh, almost 80s their defense and like presence around the world. So definitely in the Middle East and many more countries, it has impact. Anyway, this is a different discussion, uh, but this is my observation from Asia.
Right, here's
Well,
another story.
by the way, just to let you know, John, your statements are disputed by the U.S. State Department.
Right, here's another story. So we have the flash floods in Texas that are likely to have a death toll of well over 200 by the time they've recovered all the bodies. But good luck recovering the bodies, because FEMA under Kristi Noem has has taken days to respond. But FEMA was attacked under Biden for ineffective responses. Under Noem, she has taken 4 days to respond. There have been delays of days to get help in there. And there's a newly introduced requirement that Noem has to sign off on any contract and grant to help out that's more than $100,000. And she's been tardy in signing off on this stuff. So FEMA aid has been 3 days late in getting to Texas.
Rick, I want to ask you a question on this one because I think this makes it even worse. Now, remember, before all this happened, what was this? A week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? What were we talking about? Alligator Alcatraz. Where did they get that money from? And where did they brag they got that
Well,
money from?
the Alligator Alcatraz cost $450 million, $90,000 per detainee per year. Well, you could stay in a nice hotel or a really nice apartment for $90,000 a year. That $450 million came from FEMA disaster relief funds. So yeah, they pulled nearly $500 million away from help for places like Texas or North Carolina after a hurricane, and it's going to build this crappy chain link prison in the middle of a shutdown airport in the middle of the Everglades.
Wait a minute. See, this is the negativity of the press. Come on. You guys were complaining and crying that the people that were being detained weren't in adequate facilities. Now they build adequate facilities.
It's not adequate.
It's not adequate.
Read an article on the conditions.
It's actually receiving a lot of
Crying because now they're building a wonderful facility to hold detainees.
This
So it
is
doesn't matter what he does or
Nick,
what
Nick,
U.S. government
this is
does.
where the gaslighting is coming into play. You just ignore the fact that Rick points out and
There's
that
no-
others want to point out to you that this facility was far from inadequate. It's actually receiving a lot of humanitarian complaints from the heat, flooding, mosquitoes, other bugs. Also,
Florida, I grew up with
facilities,
that.
the facility usage. So now you're going to have sewage, water, all this stuff built up. How is that adequate?
I grew up with that. Get over it. That's called
Did not
Florida.
grow up with that.
Oh, you're
did not grow
crying
up with that.
because it's hot and you live in Florida. Let me tell
Well,
you.
I have a
Nick, did
clarification.
you grow up, Nick? Now you want to. I want a correction here. You're telling everybody that you grew up in a apartment or a home that flooded, that had mosquitoes and bugs running rampant, that had barely working facilities so you couldn't poo or pee where you needed to. You grew up in that.
Oh no, I actually
Thank you. So now we're done here.
I'm
I have a clarification.
multiple homes in multiple locations. One place that was on a lake, Springfield Lake, by the way. Another one, we had a home in town. Did we have to fight mosquitoes? Absolutely. Do we have to fight bugs? Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Nick. You lost the argument a long time ago. You lost the argument a long time ago. Nobody cares about the rich areas that you grew up in.
Place, and then the next day,
a place that is flooding,
cannot be
that is
serious.
heated, that is overheating.
Inadequate food,
It's-
sometimes
and-
served only once a day, denial of religious rights,
Cry me a river. Okay, look. If
days
you,
without shower.
look, if you don't like this type of environment, then don't cross the border illegally. Real simple.
Well, I have a clarification. So I said that Alligator Alcatraz cost $450 million. That's not exactly right. Alligator Alcatraz costs $450 million a year. $250 a day times eventually 5,000 prisoners year after year, as long as they operate it. Somebody's getting rich. You think you could keep a prisoner housed and fed for less than $250 a day, $90,000 a year? I'm guessing you can. So where's that money going to?
Waste.
And that money is coming out of FEMA, or it will eventually. Right now, it's coming out of the Florida budget, and then FEMA is expected to reimburse Florida. So, but it's all like for show, and an expensive ass show.
Yeah, I mean, it's really simple. It's very similar to Internet for All, that some people on this program have advocated that
Wait.
God-given
This
right
is dumb.
to have internet so they can
This is a
sit,
dumb argument.
watch television, and play video games,
Nick,
which is just not true. And again, we would not have to build these facilities to hold people if they wouldn't come over to the borders illegally. So now we're stopping that. So we may not have to build
Well,
facilities.
hold on. I thought
Hold
you
on,
said
real quick.
the border's been shut
I
down.
don't know.
real quick, Nick, real quick. This is how idiotic your argument is. One, Rick points out to you that it's costing roughly $500 million a year. You're supposed to be against waste. And that's just dealing with maintenance upkeep on a facility that's actually basically a concentration camp or an internment camp of today. And you're saying that is tantamount to Internet for All, which provides education in rural areas, opportunities in rural areas, and everywhere across the U.S., not just one place in Florida, the U.S.
Okay, before I report to that,
Opportunity.
I have final
is
comments.
internment camp.
I have final comments. Professor Nick, will you allow me?
sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let's focus on positive news. We start our global talent show every week, one session. So we are inviting all of the talent from around the world. So I request our audience, please focus on global talent shows from our research institutions. We are just launching our two scientific book. One is Resilient, Sustainable, and AI-Enabled Ventures in Agropreneurships. So it may be helpful for small countries like Bangladesh, like Nepal, like Bhutan. Then definitely we can collaborate with US University Research Center and donor agencies. And secondly, we are publishing another new books. It's called Case on AI Driven Talent Economy and Human Capitals. All of the like 82 different universities from around the world, they are publishing the case study research papers and all of the interesting things in our books, and we will bring many interesting issues in our global talent shows. So all of the rich people, like Nick is a very rich people, he lives in Europe, and all of the good men from Africa, you or Asia or from Europe and USA, you should support this kind of positive and impactful work, research, and innovation for human progression. Thank you. Great debate.
Thank you. I just want to retort to the gentleman from Canada about making statements that Trump wasn't involved. This comes from Pakistan, by the way. In contrast, has openly acknowledged and praised U.S. involvement with the government, even nominating Trump for the Nobel Prize following the ceasefire announcement. So, as one guy used to say, that's the rest of the story. In terms of Jatovi, who has an objection to housing illegal immigrants, what does he want them to do? Tie them up in little bed springs around the Everglades and give them no overhead whatsoever? So he cries if you house them, but if you don't house them, he'll cry that way. So you can't win because it doesn't matter. We could win if we just stop these people from coming over.
I like to reply to your statement to me.
Yeah, go ahead, because this comes from Arab News. I don't know where.
Yeah, so again, the Indian Prime Minister Modi directly told President wasn't negotiated or mediated by the United States and or Trump. So again, when one of the two major two countries have said that he and his administration had anything to do with the ceasefire, that's a problem. I will not, simply take the one side. If both sides said it, yeah, I'll probably say that was negotiated. If one of the two parties say it wasn't, sorry.
Nope. Pakistan and the United States both disagree.
India, yeah, and India doesn't.
And I'm surprised you're supporting India, John. Because
I'm surprised that you can't admit your error. It's quite surprising.
I have a question. All right, I have a question here. So the average cost to keep a prisoner in a U.S. prison, averaged across the whole country, is about $100 a day, 35 grand a year. Why are they holding the prisoners in a facility where it costs 2.5 times that, $90,000 a year? You can keep a prisoner in Alabama for 20 grand a year. Why did they build it in an expensive ass facility in Florida at 3 times the cost? Why not Alabama? Why not? What's this crazy spending?
Well, the thing is, I think you need to put that in front of Elon Musk, who started a new party called America Party. And so the thing is, maybe that should be part of the cost cutting, because one thing I'm sure this administration is not in favor of is spending lots of money. And frankly, it's probably cheaper just to round them up and deport them without any constitutional rights whatsoever. But then, the bleeding hearts will come out.
They don't have.
See, you're a lawyer, and you're saying we should not go against the Constitution.
Let's just deport them, baby, and then we don't have to listen.
But they don't have the infrastructure to deport. They're only been able to deport 14.7 thousand per month, which somehow Obama was able to deport 36,000 people a month during.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. Trump isn't deporting as many as Obama. I mean, come on, you guys can't win. If he deported more, he's the big deporter. If he deports less, well, he's not doing his job.
He just has to do it legally.
Tony, do you have any final thoughts? Because we're in our show.
Due process.
He has to do it legally.
Due process. Hey, Nikki, you're a lawyer. Due process.
Yeah, well, we're going to due process out of here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.